So we're here to discuss public relations 101, and I have one of my favorite uh, people facilitating this workshop today as the presenter, Altimese Nichole. And Altimese, I'm going to let you introduce yourself. Um, that way it'll be a little bit more personal.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you everyone for joining. I am Altimese Nichole, the CEO and founder of the Ezer Agency. We're an MBE certified PR and digital marketing firm specializing in traditional public relations, digital marketing, paid advertising, and more. We also have well, I'm a host of the Ezer Mindset podcast, so I have a podcast as well. I am PR certified, published author, and I've worked with many, many brands. Many people think I started in marketing, and that's not true. I started in PR. I started in PR with CNN back in 2008 as a junior publicist. So been in PR for a very, very long time, have seen the evolution of the industry because of social media, as many industries have, and technology, and excited to share with you guys some of the foundation of PR and what exactly it is to have a publicist. So super duper excited to talk to you all. Oh, and I am also a VCU, Virginia Commonwealth University alumni. I am on the Alumni Council, and I also serve on the board as the chapter leader for the Low Country. So go Rams. If
Awesome.
you if you can go to the next slide,
I
that would be
will.
great.
Awesome. Thank you for the introduction. And it's great to have you. It's nice to see you.
Likewise, likewise. All right, so this, just to lay the foundation of expectations, this conversation, this presentation is led like a conversation. So anyone who has been a part of my webinars with SCORE, know that you can always drop a question at any point. It is a conversation. I don't want it to be, I go through the slides and then questions come at the end. As questions come up, drop them in that Q&A. I'll be checking chat as well, but feel free to just drop it in the Q&A and I'll be keeping an eye out and I'll answer accordingly. Chances are, if you have that question, there's somebody else who has that question as well. So don't be afraid to ask. So in terms of the expectations for this conversation, this is a 101. So if you already have insight on what public relations is and the industry and what a publicist is, you would most likely, this would be confirmation for you. But if you are trying to figure out the difference between PR and marketing, do you even need PR when you are a small business or an entrepreneur? When should you invest? Why should you invest? The very common misconceptions about PR and how PR connects to your funnel, that this conversation is going to touch on that. So this presentation is all about those things there. Next slide. Perfect. Okay, so I can't tell you guys how many times I've seen posts from people looking for a publicist, but they say, hey, where can I find a public relations? So public relations is actually an industry in the same way marketing is an industry. So in, Fortune 500s and enterprise companies, they have a marketing department, they have a PR department, they have a sales department, et cetera. So in PR, the industry focuses on building brand perception among peers and among the public. So there's two angles to it. We help brands and entrepreneurs build a relationship with their consumer and with their peers and within the industry. It becomes like with PR, you create a sense of thought leadership in the space. So PR helps people to either like you, know you, or trust you. Those are the three main categories we focus on. It's really hard for somebody to trust you when they don't know you and they don't know you exist. or if they know you, but they're not quite sure if they like you yet. It's hard for them to trust you. And trust nowadays is directly connected to the bottom line. It's directly connected to your revenue. People who trust you, they advocate for you, and they are most likely to be a repeat customer of your business. So PR helps kind of that space of people knowing who you are, liking your products, your mission, your services, etc., and trusting that they can really trust your product and patronize your business. So the roles of PR, there are many. The main common one that everybody think about is pitching, where we get you press and we get you into magazines and podcast interviews and things like that. But there are so many different pieces to PR, including messaging and positioning, helping you to kind of fine tune that message so that way people can resonate with it outside of your company. Internal communications, helping to make sure that your team is all in sync when it comes to priorities, the heart of your message, your brand voice and tone, because of course, with social media, anytime an employee is tweeting on behalf of the organization, they have to know the brand voice and tone in order to represent you well. If they do not know that, it's really easy for them to fall into a trap of speaking on your behalf and having the wrong message out there. I don't know if you guys follow anything about Steve Harvey, but he recently had a situation like that with a social media manager. The social media manager was focused on engagement. They knew and they know of things that spark engagement. Those things stay the same, but it's very important to understand your brand. You shouldn't do everything just because it helps you get engagement. The social media manager put out a post of, or it was a tweet of, who do you think is the funniest comedian? And put different comedians up against each other, which is completely against the brand of Steve Harvey. So it created backlash, and he had to come out and, make a statement and all of these things because there wasn't proper internal communications in terms of the brand voice and tone. Corporate communications kind of runs along the same things. Media monitoring and analysis. In business, perception is everything. And I would actually go as far to say in life, perception is everything. People will perceive a thing, and even if it's not true, it's true to them. So it's really important to kind of know what's out there about your brand, about you. I encourage you to create Google alerts for yourself, for your company, for anything associated with your company, for your industry, so you can see what's happening online when it comes to your industry, your name, your brand, etc. That's a part of PR. So we have Google alerts pretty much on every single client, on ourselves, on me, on the team, just to see what comes out on the internet about us, and kind of analyzing that information to say, okay, what's the sentiment of it? Because you can't change it, you can sway it left or right, but once someone has a perception, that's the perception, especially once it's online. We can work to kind of get things pulled down, but normally you have to have a really good case on something like that. Owned media and content strategy. So owned media is any of the content, the media that you own, meaning Ezer has a podcast. If you have a podcast, that's owned media. That's media that you own. And then creating a strategy around that media to make sure that it is all connected to your overall brand strategy and your brand messaging and positioning. I see a question. How do you set up Google alerts on me or my company? Great question. And it's so interesting. People don't even realize they can do this, but if you just put in Google alerts, like put in Google alerts or manage my Google alerts in the search engine, it will pop up your place where you can add alerts for any topic, any phrase, any word, anything that you want. And you can customize it to notify you as it happens, notify you once a day, or whatever your preference is. There are some that we have set up that we only get once a day. So like, for example, we get a list of things happening around the social media industry every single day. But we get it once a day because I don't want my company's inbox bombarded with stuff happening around social media as it happens. However, if there is an article that comes out about the Ezer Agency, we want to know that as it happens. So those we have it set to as it hits the internet, we get triggered, we get a notification of it. So great question. And then earned media. So earned media is different from paid media. If you ever reach out to a magazine or someone reaches out to you on Instagram, this is happening a lot lately where they're like, hey, we love your profile and we want to feature you in top 30 of 30, da 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 da. Reach out to us. Not this profile though. Go to the other one. Go to this handle. That's paid media. That's an ad running behind, someone's there's like a strategy behind finding people who would most likely pay to be in a magazine or to be on the list. Earned media is not that way. Earned media is because the publication or the reporter or the writing contributor, they actually resonate with your message and they feel that your message will resonate with their audience. So that is earned media. You earned it. You earned it. We pitched it. They said, oh, we love it. It's great. It's yummy. We want to highlight it, and they take it. That's earned media. Anything you have to pay for, that then transitions into paid media. So just something to keep in mind. Media representation. So if you have events, if you have conferences, publicists help you kind of structure and organize all of the things in regard to the messaging or the talent that you have. If you have speakers coming and all of that, we create things to help you just stay organized through that. Crisis management. This is really, really important. However, you do not want to reach out to PR when you have a crisis. You want to already have a PR team in place before a crisis happens, because if you reach out to us during a crisis, chances are the price is much higher, the urgency is different. It's a completely different ball game than already having a team in place. And if something goes crazy, something goes viral that you don't necessarily like, it's easier for your PR team to step in and mitigate the issue versus, jumping in without any knowledge prior. So you do not want to hire us when you have crisis management. You want to hire us before. A marketing mediator. So we are definitely liaisons between marketing and customer service. Everything about PR is service. We serve our clients. We serve them in such a way. We brag on them so they don't have to do that. They can just focus on their business. That is our job. So our job is service. And we are the liaison between, the consumer's brand perception and marketing. So when you have articles that go out, it's very, very important to make sure marketing is aware of that so they can promote it and they can share it and they can talk about it, because people think that's cool. They want to be a part of your story. But if you've been featured in 7 magazines and no one even knows because the marketing department is completely isolated from your PR team, then it creates a disconnect in terms of how you can really leverage all of the pieces of your business, and all the things you're investing in to make sure you're creating the best messaging possible. Awesome. Next slide. Awesome. Okay, so why invest in PR? I have heard that PR is a luxury investment. Depends, again, that's the perception. But PR really helps you to share your story on podcasts, print interviews, radio interviews, all of that. But it also helps boost your SEO. When people hear about your business, the first thing they're going to do is Google you. And I don't know, can you guys hear me okay? Lori, can you hear me? I think I froze.
Yes, I can
Wi-Fi.
hear you, but you're frozen on your video. But I can hear
Hold
you.
on 1 second. Okay. I think I'm on the wrong Wi-Fi. Hold on. Okay. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, and I see that
Perfect.
Cece, someone has
Yes.
responded that she can hear you as well.
Perfect. Perfect. Okay. So I'm just going to keep going now that I'm on the right one. So um, PR is a big supporter of SEO. Why? Because we're getting you in a lot of publications which give you links on the internet. And the more links you have on the internet, the more Google believes in their algorithm that you are important, that what you are talking about is significant, and they help support you in your SEO. And they say, oh, this person's been featured here and here and here. Okay, well, let's put this up on page one. Let's add this to page one because obviously they're pretty important. People keep talking about them. And when you are um, without PR, right, and it's just your website, you run into an issue of a lack of trust, primarily because companies say they're great all the time. They say, "Oh, we're awesome. Look at us. We have this, we have that." That's cool, but as a consumer, I don't really trust that. You, of course, you're going to say you're cool and you're great and your product will solve my problem. I want to see how your product solves my problem and hear it from someone else. So if you have podcasts that are featured or magazine, digital or print. And oftentimes, if it's print, you have a digital version to accompany the print version. That helps. That helps people to see and trust your brand. Okay. Am I back? That was really weird. Can you all hear me?
We can hear you and you've just unfrozen.
Okay, perfect. I don't know, my computer is going through something. This
That's
is like the
okay.
last day of Mercury retrograde. I don't know if anybody pays attention to that kind of stuff,
And you do
but
have a,
this one was rough.
yeah, maybe that's why I had
Um,
trouble. Anyways, you've got one question
yeah,
sitting there too
awesome, awesome,
about
awesome.
SEO.
Yes, I did say SEO. Yes, search engine optimization. So because PR gets you press and press translates to secured links on the internet, it boosts your SEO. It helps your SEO tremendously. So there are two ways to support SEO. One is through Google Ads, which to me, I personally feel like that's like renting an apartment. It's rent because the moment you stop the Google ads, your actual SEO kicks in and your actual ranking shows up. Versus just doing the legwork of getting your name in different publications, being featured in different things, talking and collaborating with people. Social media is actually a support. It helps SEO. So if you are very active, especially on Instagram, that helps your SEO. It helps boost your SEO. So yeah, PR is a SEO booster, and it helps people get to know you on Google's internet streets. It helps people to know who you are. Um, yes, what can you repeat what happens when dropping Google ads? Yeah, so Google ads just literally lifts your brand up. You're paying for a sponsored spot on page one. That's what you're paying for. So that way, anytime someone types in specific keywords or they're searching something, your brand comes up because of the ad. And it will be a sponsored ad for Google on page one. The moment you stop your Google ad, that ad goes away. If that ad goes away, what kicks in? Your search engine optimization, your actual ranking, the actual ranking of your website. If it's on page one, fantastic. But your website may be on page 3 or 4. If your website's on page 3 or 4, you run the issue of people not even going to page 3 or 4 and just finding a business on page 1 or 2. So with PR, you have support in getting that. So, for example, feel free. Like, it sounds really weird to Google yourself, but that should be like a common thing that everybody should do. You should actually Google a lot of things, a lot of people, a lot of brands, just to see what pops up. Just to see what pops up. You might be a little surprised. But that's something that as business owners, we should definitely have as a habit. We should definitely do that. So yes, Google Ads, as soon as you end that ad itself, your original ranking kicks back in. So SEO and PR helps support your original ranking. And it helps boost you up. And we help prepare for the inevitable brand management crisis before you need it most. I cannot stress this enough. I think people fear when that happens, but if you scale and you grow, it's inevitable. It's going to happen. It's going to happen where someone doesn't agree with what you said, someone doesn't like your product, someone had a bad experience with your product for whatever reason, and they decide to go on a rampage on Facebook, or put a review out there on Yelp, or you have an influencer who has great influence and they have a bad experience and they decide to share it. If they decide to do something like that, hopefully not if they're an influencer, but it happens. But we help prepare you for that, and we help provide you with talking points and understanding how to respond if ever you need to respond. Because some things you don't need to respond to. And how to navigate through that. That's what your publicist or your PR team would help you with. Next slide. Okay, so when is it time to invest in PR? So PR is a strategic play. It's a strategic play of saying, as I'm building my business, I want other people talking about it as well. As I am building my brand, I want people to know who I am as I'm building it. Okay, so it's helping to create the story of who your brand is within your respective industry. The sooner you do that, the more likely that as you push out product, as you promote, and people Google you, they'll see the validity of your business. So the sooner you invest in PR, the better, right? But it is top of funnel, and we'll talk about that a little later. It's a long-term strategy. We don't even accept clients for PR that only want 3 months. That's impossible. It's impossible because we do earned media. Earned media requires time, because we could completely pitch you for a magazine, and we'll use September. We'll use this month. We can pitch you for a magazine in September, not get a response until October. The person respond in October and say, hey, I got this, didn't fit in September, but it might fit for January when we do this specific campaign. Would your client still be interested? So something we pitched in September won't go live until January. And at that point, it's the logistics of it all, making sure calendars are aligned, making sure you know how to get ready for the interview and all of that, or the questions. So we very rarely work with people for just 3 months, because it always happens where at the end of the 3 months, we still have work that's coming in or that we're closing out. So typically, retainers for PR is either 6 or 12 months. 12 months is ideal because it allows that window of time to like really work that strategy and really, get you some good press and buzz, and integrate it into your campaigns, integrate it into socially relevant holidays like Black History Month, or Small Business Month, or Grandparents' Day. That was like last Sunday. So those things, it helps us to get really strategic to where we can, if it is Grandparents' Day and there's something that aligns with Grandparents' Day that's connected to your brand, the people who are talking about Grandparents' Day, they started working on it probably 3 months prior. So they already have their content out. I can't go to them a week before and be like, hey, our client has this amazing product that would be great for blah, 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 blah. They'll be like, that is awesome. We've already finished. And just to give you guys some like perspective, the higher tiered publications have longer time frames for securing things. So like, for example, the Tamron Hall show, which is televised, they're already out to 2024. 2023 is complete. It was complete back in July. So they finished they have all their segments. They know who they're communicating with. They know who their guests are. And they are now into probably mid Q1. So not even January. It's probably like February, March-ish now. So if a client is coming on board with us and they have a dream goal of getting on the Tamron Hall show and their product or their service merits us pitching to a producer for the Tamron Hall show, we have to set the expectation of letting them know, hey, you may not see this come to life until mid to end of next year, just to give you, like, set the expectation for it. And we say mid to end because even though they're setting their schedule for Q1, doesn't mean that the client will align with whatever their talking points are for their segments. So it's a whole thing of strategy. And when I mention pitching, I think of different angles, right? So oftentimes people are very myopic in their view of their brand, and they only think, oh, I'm just technology, or oh, I'm just a skincare line. I don't fit with this. We pitched a client that was in tech to Glamour magazine. And at first the client was like, why? Why would we be in Glamour? Well, because our goal is to help people like you, know you, trust you. I am sure there are people that read Glamour magazine, whether digital or print, that still align with your target audience, that will either learn about you, know you, or already know you and become to like you. Because I think it's really cool that you opened up, someone on your team opened up and shared a really great story with Glamour magazine's audience. That's why. So our angles to the client may seem like a little like, that's interesting. But trust your publicist. Trust their judgment in why they're pitching what they're pitching. And good stories, I mentioned that when I talked about the Tamron Hall show. Good stories could include brand announcements, product launches, key team members joining. If you are investing in like philanthropy efforts, you're doing a collaboration with a larger brand or a peer, those types of things have really strong angles that could help support us pitching you for different things and different articles beyond just the direct, hey, this is what the brand is about and this is what their mission is. And I see a question. Says, when I Google my name, am I Googling my name or keywords? The thing is, wouldn't my name pop up as first choice if I'm the only one with the domain name? Nope. You wouldn't just pop up. Now, if you have good SEO and no one else has your name, yes. My name is Altimese, and there is a real estate agent in Atlanta named Altimese D's, and she's starting to work on her SEO. So when you look up Altimese, if you don't put in Altimese Nichole, Altimese D's in Atlanta, Georgia, who is a real estate agent, she pops up as well. So it's not just, this is not just one piece or segment. This is the internet. Everything falls into that. So it's good to just have one for your name or keywords. You could do both. You could do all. There is no limit. They do not have limitations on the type of Google alerts that you can set. You can have as many or as little as you want. You can have them come to you as often as you want. That's just to help you monitor what's being said on Google about different things. But yeah, if your name is very unique, you might have a better chance of like not having someone else with your name. But I think my name is pretty unique. I haven't found a lot of people with my name, but there is an Altimese D's like 4 hours away from me. So, and I honestly, I keep track of her too, because I want to know what's being said about her. Because if someone puts in Altimese and they get Altimese D's, and Altimese D's has something that's negative out there, and the person, because people don't fully read sometimes, and they just pick up an article and be like, oh my gosh, if she's dealing with a crisis, chances are we might get a little bit of the residue, because the people may get confused of who is who if they're not paying attention. Things like that happens quite a bit. So yes, I hope that helps answer some questions. Y'all just set up Google alerts. Once a month, I literally just type in my name, Altimese Nichole, in my Google for my phone. I just put it in, or I put in Ezer once a month just to see what comes up, just to see. And the Ezer Agency, there is a company called Ezer, and it was a sports management company, and they're not doing anything right now. They haven't been doing anything since about 2019 or so, but their SEO is still pretty powerful. So we keep tabs on that just so we know what's out there. And strong angles, when we're talking about pitching, they are timely and they are relevant to brand and news cycles. So, for example, right now, probably like a couple weeks ago, honestly, for publicists, it was a really rough pitching season, primarily because of all the news around Trump, all the news around Beyonce's Renaissance tour, around the announcement of Taylor Swift having a tour. If it wasn't relevant to the things that were already in the news cycle, and we couldn't find an angle to put it in, publications weren't paying attention. They're focused on the things that consumers are caring about and the people are caring about right now. And if your brand isn't necessarily aligning with that, it's kind of being pushed to the side because of the news cycle. So a really strong angle is timely and it's relevant. It's relevant to what's happening in the news, or what's happening within your industry. And then also alignment with your brand mission and have an overarching significance that helps a movement or helps people, or, really it's connected to the heart. Anything heart related, meaning like someone can read it and identify and relate. Those are really great angles. They're really strong angles that helps us to garner earned media for you every single time. So next slide.
I got Altimese. I have Google Alert for my business, Aunt Lori's, and I do what you do. I monitor it. Just funny story.
Yes.
I'll get like Aunt Lori's passed away, and people think I've died.
Yes.
So I keep an eye on that. I'm like, no, I'm here.
All right.
Yeah,
yes,
it's interesting
yes.
the things that I see and monitor. It's interesting. But anyways, thought I'd share that.
And Lori, it's as the owners of the brand, or as the people who are in the brand, it's so easy to assume people see it the way we see it, and they don't. They don't
Right.
see it the way we see it. So it's important to just see how they see it, because even in how they see it, there could be something we're missing, right? And there could be something the audience needs, or misunderstands, or a problem we can solve just based off of active listening on Google and seeing what's out there.
Yeah, I didn't know you could Google Alert an industry in that, so that was interesting.
Oh yeah,
Thanks.
absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
Of course. Okay, so there are a lot of misconceptions about PR. A lot, a whole heap. Primarily because we are, a lot of departments, they have very tangible ROI. Like they have sales. You can tell if a sales department is meeting their goals based off of the revenue and the products moving. So you can tell that. With PR, it's abstract. The ROI is not as concrete as sales, but it is just as powerful as sales, because it has to do with the perception. It has to do with how consumers think about you. So it has the same level of impact, but it's hard for clients to kind of feel, to be able to tangibly understand the ROI on PR, which is, unfortunate, but it's a reality. It's a reality. A publisher should be hired to help drive sales. Nope, not true. Negative. Can it? Yes. Is it guaranteed? No. The times it's guaranteed is if we get a spot in GMA. And if we get a spot on GMA, I have seen where clients have gotten spots on GMA and we're working with them and their website infrastructure is broken and it crashes during the segment because so many people are Googling them and trying to figure out who they are. So there's so many pieces, like so many things that go into it to make sure you're prepared for moments like that, right? And if you have a product-based company, we get you on GMA. It is fantastic. That's wonderful. Or you get on a podcast that has thousands of listeners and you have a product-based company. I hope you're prepared to ship. Hope you're prepared to fulfill those orders because they're coming. Like those kind of things. But I digress. Publicists can guarantee a set number of publications per month. Not true. Not true, unless it's pay to play. If we are paying to secure you publications and you have a paid media budget, then yes, we can guarantee a certain number of publications per month. We can guarantee that we can pitch a certain number of people per month, but we can't guarantee the person on the other end is going to say yes. We can't guarantee that they're going to say yes, and it will be this month. And we can't guarantee that it'll be yes, and we can guarantee that it'll be this month, and it will go live this month. Can't guarantee that. PR is an unnecessary investment when you're starting out your brand. Again, that is a myth. People who are really, really strategic, we have seen this where, they've sold companies and they're starting a new company. One of the first things they do is invest in PR and marketing. Like one of the best things that I noticed during the pandemic, there was a very clear divide between the mindset of business owners. We had clients that immediately shut down marketing, And we had other clients that leaned in and they said, I have a feeling that this is the moment we need to be very digital. And we're going to pivot. And we just want to figure this thing out. And those were the clients that they soared during the pandemic. And it's the investment. When things are going wrong, many times, unfortunately, the first things that are slashed are marketing and PR. Those are the things you need most. You need those most. So it is a very necessary investment. It's a necessary investment. When things get rough, PR should be the first investment to retract. That's what I was just mentioning. It's very tempting because you're like, things aren't great right now. I gotta pull some money back. So I'm gonna pull money back from marketing, from my marketing budget, and I'm gonna pull marketing back from PR. Transparent moment. Ezer had moments like that. Last year, we got down to no clients at all. The sustainability of the business came from PR. So when we didn't have clients, we leaned in to pitching the team, pitching me, pitching the agency, doing the podcast. We pushed heavy on the intangible things, which kept our name floating. It kept things going. Even when the revenue kind of went down and then it goes right back up, the ebbs and flow. And I see a question. Let's see, can you please explain how PR is relevant or even necessary for an up and coming business? If you're saying the logistics is always horrible or a long time to secure, there aren't any guarantees or secured publications are up or an air press for pitching. It seems very negative, a negative branch of business, except for celebrities. Not true. Okay, so when I say that it's a long-term strategy, that just means have patience. That doesn't mean that we don't get publications for people in a month. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying that I can't promise you that. I can't look anybody in the face and say, I promise you, and I'm gonna get you 6 publications a month, and it be true. I can't do that. But because I've been a publicist since 2008, I have some pretty secured relationships that I have built over years. So where literally I can just drop a name and say, hey, do you have anything that would work for this client? And they'll be like, maybe not for this, but I know Essence has this coming up and this, and that. So it's not necessarily you can't. It's it's managing the expectation of the person getting the client of the client getting the service, because oftentimes clients believe that it's quick. Social media has made us believe that things are quick, that they're instant gratification. Even social media isn't instant gratification. What you get immediately with social media is likes, comments, shares. That's what you get immediately. ROI takes time. So even if you change a strategy on social media, a good strategy, anytime you change anything, because people hate change, they don't like it. If you change anything, they're going to go, ugh, I don't like it. Ugh, can't stand it. When Dunkin' Donuts changed to Dunkin', ugh, can't stand it. Don't like it. Like, you have to stay with it. You have to stay the course, because the moment it switches, it spikes up. Our credit does the same thing. So if you buy something that's really a big purchase, your credit score, it dips, it drops. You lose 50 to 100 points. But if you pay consistently for 6 months, it goes past where you were. So it's not a negative thing. I'm not saying that you can't get publications that first month. And typically that first month, a good publicist, a good PR team, they won't jump in guns blazing pitching for you. They won't do that because they don't have all the information. They're going to be getting your messaging. They're going to create a strategy. They're going to tell you the PR plan. They're going to tell you who they're planning to pitch. They're going to tell you, the different categories of pitching in terms of digital magazines, radio, podcasts. Those are different categories. There are different channels. So that usually takes about that's research. That's research and planning. So normally that first month, that's what we're doing. We're planning. We're making sure we have the right messaging, because if we go out immediately pitching for you, we may not have all the details of the things that you do and the mission and all of that. So it's really, really important to just be patient through that process. But I'm not saying that it can't happen. We've worked with one client for about 6 months. And in that 6 months, we've surpassed our own expectations of what we were able to get for her. And it's also because of the relevancy, the timing of everything, and how everything took off. Even down to Grandma Josephine. I don't know if everybody's here in Hilton Head, because I don't know, but Miss Josephine Wright is our client, pro bono, but her granddaughter is our actual client. And back in January, her granddaughter came to me and she said, they're trying to take my grandmother's land. Is there anything that you can do? The Island Packet just put this article out. Is there something we can do? And I said, say less. And I went to my networks, because I've been in PR for a long time. That's another reason. Make sure your publicist has a track record of securing publications. They have connections. They have people that they know. That matters. That matters in terms of us. Even if we can't secure something immediately, we have talks. We are literally having coffee dates and sending coffee gift cards to people and saying, just wanting to say hi, to maintain relationship, to nurture relationships that maybe down the road will be beneficial to someone, or we can help that other person, because they're often with clients themselves. So it's a mutual thing. It's just more of being patient. Myth, if I put out a press release, I would be able to get on television easily. Not true. Not true. What makes it easy to get on television is definitely the relevancy of what's happening with your brand and like what's happening in life. So if something's happening in life that is really like connected to your brand, and it's connected to the stories, the headlines that are in the news right now, it's a no-brainer. They would drop, they literally change their whole segments if the news cycle kicks in and something really important is happening or really inspiring is happening. They'll drop it and they'll be like, hey, you have a client for this? We would like them to talk to us tomorrow at 10 and we got to be ready. So that's, yeah, but just putting out a press release, it just gives you that SEO. It gives you the SEO. About how much would a 6-month investment for a starting company be? And would the services that the company offer be totally well defined? And what is the minimum number of services should we be ready to be offered? Okay, lots of questions, but it's cool. I'm going to try and tap into each one. So the pricing of a PR agency, that's based on how they place their own value on what they do, right? That's not something that is set in stone. If you Google it, the range is like from 1,000 to 20, because there are companies that charge 20,000, but there are also companies that charge 1,000, and they do the exact same thing. They do the exact same thing. And I think that also it's no different from any other business owner trying to properly price their products, services, or goods, right? It's no different. I have, we're a boutique PR agency. So because we are boutique, the rates are lower than the industry, but they tend to feel higher to the customer. However, right, I'm gonna say that. However, I have a friend, she's very near and dear to my heart, and she's a publicist. We tend to go into deals together. We tend to partner together on larger company enterprise clients, have closed 6-figure deals with this woman. We do the exact same thing. That's why we are on the same team and we partner together. Her rates are significantly higher than mine, significantly. She is almost at the $10,000 per month mark, and people pay her. She has clients. So everything is relative. Everything is relative, and that goes back to the perception. That goes back to the perception of your audience and your brand and things like that. And what seems high to one person is really low to someone else, and they're going to question the quality of your work because they're like, how in the world are you doing all of this stuff and you're only charging me X? That does not make any sense. And I'm a little leery to actually sign with you because your rates are really low. So it just depends, right? When looking for a publicist or a PR team, you want to know that they can communicate to you how they are pitching, when they are pitching, reporting, right? So they give a report to you at the end of the month. We do have ad value because, again, there's two sides of PR. It's earned media and then there's paid media. If you have earned media, there is a value to the article that you just secured. So, for example, if we secure a client with just throwing out the New York Times, that's earned media, right? So we pitched and the reporter said, yes, would love to talk to your client. That's earned media. But if they talk to someone else and said, this kind of doesn't fit. However, if you do advertising, we'll figure out how to make it work. The advertising is about $500, etc., whatever they charge for advertising. The earned media still has a value, a dollar amount, if it was a pay to play. So in a lot of our reports, we try to give that estimated value amount to the client to say, hey, because we have this earned media, if you would have paid for it, it would have been X amount of dollars. And oftentimes it blows them away. Like, what? Especially for the larger tiered publications. It could be in the thousands. I know for Forbes, it could be like 2,500. Easy for an article. So if we get earned media in Forbes for you, the estimated value, if someone were to pay for it, at minimum would be about $2,500. So that kind of, hopefully that gives some context to like the things you should be thinking of. And relationship, if they're not overly communicating to you, if they're not positioning themselves and letting you know that they have the relationships to be able to sustain or create angles for you, that would be of concern. That would be of concern. Saying how many pitches can you get me a month would be the wrong question. It would be, what type of publications do you see me being able to secure? Because what you may see and what they may see may be different, right? Not wrong, just different. So that is a great question. I think it's important to know, but everything is relative, especially with pricing. I have learned that. I have one client that'll be like, oh, this is just so much. And I've learned this in business too. If the person is really adamant about the pricing, now we say no. We say, you know what? It's okay, because working with us shouldn't break the bank for you. Working for us shouldn't impact your family. I don't want to take money from your family. I don't want to take money from your household. So if you are in a place where you are not yet ready, that's okay. Come to us when you are, and we're more than happy. We're more than happy to work with you then. And then we also have clients that will literally not bat an eye. And we literally sit back like, maybe our rate is too low, because they would literally not bat an eye and be like, sure, okay, paid, done. And it's like, what? Like, okay, which is good. But again, pricing is relative. So you find what works for you. Find what works for your company. Find what works for your business. Find a team or a publicist that's willing to work with you, like through it all, work with you in what that is, and then build from there. Because everything is an evolving journey. Everything is an evolving process. So even with, working with that PR team, what their rates are now may not be their rates 3 years from now. But if you secure them now, you could potentially lock in that rate to where you're a loyal customer and they don't change their rate. We do that for our clients. So the clients that we have longstanding, when our rates go up, we don't tell them, oh, our rate went up. No, you are locked in with us at this rate, no matter what, because we have each other. So yeah, hopefully that answers. Next slide. And I'm being very mindful of time. And I think we only have 2 slides left. So this is the funnel of conversion. Okay. PR is not sales. Marketing is not sales, contrary to what social media has created. And sales is sales. Sales is sales. So we work with an amazing film festival. We have been their agency on record for years at this point. I think this will be our 4th or 5th year with this film festival. In our first year, we had to really drive in the significance of this funnel, because she didn't realize that PR isn't going to make the ticket sales ting. Marketing, yes, marketing is wonderful, and it is the middle place that makes sales soft and squishy and yummy. If marketing is done properly, sales is easy. It's a breeze. Like, it makes your sales strategy not work that hard. But there has to be a sales strategy. There has to be a way to take someone from engaging and loving your content on social media to actually buying the product or the service. So this is the funnel that I think everybody should kind of just keep in mind. And I have another question. Would the services that the company offered be totally well defined, and what's the minimum number of services offered? So the minimum number of services offered depends on the company. So when we, for example, for Ezer, when we work with companies and brands and entrepreneurs on for PR services, we're their everything for PR. So we give them media training, we pitch for them. If they have events, we show up and we help them as like event publicists on site. We do all the things for them because in my mind, if we're your PR team, we're your team. You shouldn't have to, it shouldn't be so scoped out to where it's like, oh, you get this, but you don't get that. To me, that's to me, right? That's how Ezer works. That is not how every company works. There are companies that will itemize every single piece and say, this is what you would do. And if you, based on this here, you don't get these things. That's not how we operate. We don't even operate that like that with social media. Some social media companies will be like, hey, this is what you pay for Facebook. This is what you pay for Instagram. This is what you pay for YouTube. If you are our client for social media, it doesn't matter where you are. We're your social media agency. You could have 80 billion. I'm exaggerating, but 80 billion different platforms. And like, oh, I just started a TikTok and I got this and I got that. And we're your social media agency. So we create the content for your social. But every agency, every company does not work that way. So I think it's important to understand the structure of the company that you're thinking of hiring and how they approach PR and how they approach their services versus another. And with the services, are they well defined? I think that what could be deemed as well defined is more so understood, because it's very easy for someone in the industry to be throwing out words that you have no idea what they mean, but you're just nodding like, yeah, okay. And if they don't identify that you, like they're talking here and you're like over in a different frequency, they need to make sure you understand exactly what they're doing. And I think that's where the well-defined part comes in. So hopefully that answers your question, but you want someone to be able to just explain what in the world they're doing on behalf of your brand. Like, and that has to do with talking in layman's terms. That has to do with being able to tell you, hey, we're right now, we're in the process of doing your PR plan. That's going to take about 2 weeks. Once we get your buy-in, because we don't move forward on a plan without the client saying, yes, I approve, let's go. If we don't have that, we go to the drawing board and we figure out why we don't have that and we make sure there's alignment. And then once we have that, then we start to pitch and we make sure there is a pitch log for Ezer that every single client has, and they can go in whenever they want to see what we've pitched and what angles we've used and how the person responded, because we have notes in there. All of that is transparent. Right? So it's up to the agency or the company or the person to have that level of transparency and have that level of reporting for you. And it's up to you to just ask the questions, like, how do you approach it? And sometimes I think some clients don't know what they don't know. So you may not know what questions to ask. But that's where the connection really matters. That's where like the fit, because it's not just you. It's mutual. It's a mutual fit. Which is why I mentioned, if I sense it's really a sense. If I sense hesitation and there's like an unsettling in that person's heart, because we lead with heart. That's our tagline. That's Ezer's tagline. If I feel there's an unsettling in that person's heart, we don't move forward. And I tell them, I don't think this is the right timing, or this may not be the best fit, and we have other recommendations for you, or come to us when you're ready. And that's okay. All of them are okay. Will you or SCORE be offering any more PR webinars or subcategories PR we've discussed, such as earned media, editorials, SEO, etc.? So, yes. And where Ezer is in the process right now of doing a PR ebook, hoping to release around November-ish, around like Black Friday time, small business Saturday time. But we're working on that now because PR is so wide in what we do that we do understand a lot of people don't get the basics of it. And once they get the basics of it, then what, right? They're like, okay, so how do I get to TV? Can I just get on radio? How does that look? So our goal is to help make sure that we're speaking layman terms always. And that way clients feel comfortable in understanding where their investment is going and understanding that, and that's why I was reiterating it's a long-term strategy. Because like if someone understands PR, they know like, hey, you're talking to the news, like you're talking to people who probably have a content calendar of their own. So we can't we expect you to secure things for us, but we understand 1 month it might be 6 publications secured, and then 1 month just one. And it's not saying you're not doing your job. It's saying that, okay, all of these were published in this month, and then this month, these ones were not published. Because I also know you got a pitch log over here that I can check whenever I want, if I want. And really, honestly, our clients, they probably check it for that first month. And then after that, we don't even see them in there. And they I don't know if they forget or what, but they have that level of trust with us to where they know that we're working and we're getting things done. And they see the interviews coming in. So they get their interview brief, they get preps, and they have their IG lives and all those things. So they know that the things are moving. But it's about that transparency. So to answer your question, yes. Go ahead.
It's Lori. You've got quite a few questions here, and we're running over time. So I don't.
Okay.
If you can kind of
Oh, I
skim
see. I
through a
see.
couple of these quickly,
Okay.
kind of play off one another, a few of them.
Okay, we'll do. We'll do. And go ahead and go to the next slide of the key takeaways.
Yep.
It says, I do plan on hiring PR as a goal, but things are happening. What do I do in this instance? I plan on hiring PR as a goal, but things are happening. So it depends on what those things are that's happening. If it's the business is taking off and you are crazy busy, it's a good time to hire a PR team because we brag on our clients, so you don't have to. We do a lot of follow-up. A lot of the things we secure is not from the first pitch. It's from us reaching out again and being like, hey, we sent you this email about this. We saw that you recently did an article on that. Our client is doing X, Y, and Z. Would love for you to talk to them if you're interested. And it is the follow-ups that tend to get the secured publication. It is the follow-up, not the original angle. Sometimes it works that way, but oftentimes editors and people, they're busy and everybody's sending them emails. They probably get like 200-300 a day, depending upon who they work for. So, the follow-ups is what get them. So it depends on what's happening in your business. And that will determine. But I say when you feel like it is time for you to have some more people talking about you on Google, and it's people talking about you, it's brands, it's magazines talking about you. When you're ready for that, then that's when you should hire. It says, I also have a vendor with a national brand. I have some media connections because of the work I do. What are your thoughts? I think that is connected to something else. I've written a pitch letter, okay with some friends produces certain work. Can this be something I manage with having a yes? Okay, so it is possible, and we actually have a client. She did her PR for years on her own. She did have a publicist. There were some disconnects, so she had to let that publicist go, but she kept everything running on her own. It is a great thing to do that. There are certain things in PR in the industry that we know as publicists that someone just coming in, they just don't know. Like, for example, we never give out contact. Like if we are working on a press securing something for you and it's not yet secured, I would never put the client in contact with the writer directly, primarily because the client may have different expectations and communication set forth than the writer. And I already know what's needed on the writer's side, and it creates confusion. And it creates this thing of like the writer's already dealing with probably 8 or 9 publicists outside of me, right? They're dealing with other people and they're asking for the same thing. So they're probably like, what? Why? What? Like, it doesn't work. So there are things in the industry that as publicists we know, but as someone just hitting the ground running, doing it themselves, they don't know, so it tends to work for a little bit until it doesn't. And so the client we have right now, we're cleaning up a lot because she did it on her own, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with her doing it on her own. There are just some things that she missed that we're now having to communicate with brands directly on her behalf just to fix them and make sure they understand, hey, no, you don't communicate with the client if she's out at a marathon. Contact us. Like, we need a barrier so that way she's not bombarded or overwhelmed or whatever. We're the gatekeepers. We protect you. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's our goal. Like, if it was a red carpet, I have a client that's entertainment. I have on all black and I'm in her ear. So when someone's coming up to her, I know who they're with. I know who that host is. And I can say, hey, in her ear, I can say, hey, this is so-and-so with such and such, and they talk about this. Be sure not to say this because they're going to switch this and they're going to switch it this way. Okay, bye. And I let the client go ahead and have her moment. I let the client have her moment, but she knows because her publicist prepared her. So that way she's not like blindsided by anything based off of that. So yes. And I see another question. Let me see. And if you have to hop, I totally understand. I know we're over. I started a publishing company in 2021, produced a calendar. Okay. And sold fairly well. Yes, good, good, good. In the newspaper, I have another calendar for Black female inventors. How could your PR firm help with this effort? Love it. It's more about your PR team would take the angle of why, right? Because you have a calendar that's highlighting amazing people in the African American community, in the Black community, right? Why did you start it? What's the story behind it? That's what gets you press. That's because it's the heart. It's connected to the heart. Anything people can relate to, right? Anything they can feel, they can resonate. They are allies for. They're going to say yes, and they're going to be like, yes, I resonate, and that's what gets you the angles. So that's where we could support. We can help you in those things and making sure that even holiday season is coming up. So right now, literally right now, if you have a product, you should be like pitching for gift guides. They're happening right now, where all of the publications that give like 2023 gift guides for dads, 2023 gift guides for, I don't know, girlfriends or whatever, they're looking for those products right now. And they're securing them probably before October. And of course, there are little stragglers coming in terms of like a product didn't work out or whatever, but they're securing those right now. So as a publicist, as your PR team, we would help you to kind of get on their radar early so they know, oh, don't your client your client has this amazing calendar. Can we put them on the gift guide for 2024 for, I don't know, Yahoo has one, Blavity has one. Like, they all do it and it's during the holiday season cycle. So that's a great question. And I think I've answered them all. Lori,
Yep,
can you help?
I think you have. Yep, because there was a
Okay.
few of them that kind of strung together.
Okay, perfect.
Other than there's one that talks about, is there a PR agency for nonprofit businesses?
Yes, there are PR agencies that specialize in all types of things. We are industry agnostic. So we have an entertainment client. We have like giving back. So that's Grandma Josephine. We have a nonprofit out in LA. We have an influencer. We are industry agnostic because what we do, it doesn't require us to be in this niche of an industry, and we're able to translate it across because of the foundation and the basic principles of what we do. But there are PR agencies, PR firms that focus specifically on nonprofits. and helping nonprofits get their word out. So it really is, just kind of doing some research, vetting, and seeing what works, and what you want to, and who you want to work with. So, but great question. And thank you everybody for joining.
Yes.
Again, hopefully this was a great conversation for you all. It's always great for me to just talk about something that just comes so naturally and innate for me. But if you have any questions, I am here. You can always reach out to me either through social media or through the agency, and let us know how we can help.
Awesome. Thank you. Well done, Altimese. I see that you're teaching. Are you teaching this building a strategy approach to social media? Or is that me?
Yeah.
It might be the two of us.
It might be the two of us. I think
Okay.
it's both of us. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you. And I just want to remind everybody that we do thank Bank of America for being our sponsor. And here are several other veteran workshops. However, they are open to everyone, not just to veterans. So keep an eye on those. And the Coastal State Bank we are hosting a nonprofit workshop that's very popular. We have a lot of things coming up actually in October. And one last one actually it starts at the end of September. And QuickBooks, that's one of my favorite topics. That's a difficult one, actually. So as an entrepreneur, understanding basics of QuickBooks is really super valuable. And our lawyer friend, Douglas Lindberry, does a wonderful job on legal topics. And of course, if you ever need a mentor, you need help, it is free, it is confidential. You can get one-on-one attention. We do it either we can Zoom, we can do face-to-face, whatever you're comfortable with. You can go on our website, find our chapter, the appropriate chapter, and request a mentor. Or if you yourself want to volunteer or be a mentor or a workshop presenter, or if you have a particular expertise, we would love to have you become a volunteer and help with the SCORE. And obviously, you could always find us on all of the social media platforms. Be sure to follow us there to keep up on any of the new events we have or any of the workshops that we have. And we are powered by the SBA, so we thank the Small Business Association as we are affiliated with them. So with that, you will get a copy of this presentation. Thank you, Altimese, for a wonderful presentation. And you'll also get a short survey. And I hope you all have a wonderful day. Thank you.
Thank you.